the holy name is the topic. We stopped yesterday. Supramental name. That super knowledge is beyond the knowledge of this mundane brain. So what we are hearing now, it cannot be understood properly when we are not on the transcendental plane or when we are on this mundane plane. This understanding is confirmed by Rupa Goswami Prabhu in his verse. Atashi Krishna Namadi Navavidkayam Indriya Sambhaki Jivado Swayam Eva Spratyata. He says that Krishna's name, form, qualities and eternal associates, everything about him is not mundane, but purely spiritual. So what is this? He says that Krishna's name, his form, all his qualities and eternal associates, everything about him is not mundane, but purely spiritual. It cannot be perceived by our gross senses. So simply by vibrating the sound Krishna, our tongues cannot produce Krishna. Our noses cannot catch the transcendental fragrance of his body. Our eyes cannot have a vision of his beautiful figure, which is supramental. This is true not only for our physical senses, but for the mind also. Our minds cannot conceive of Krishna. He is transcendental and supramental. His existence transcends all the knowledge in our possession. So we cannot be the subject and make Krishna our object. This is a very important point you may always remember. We cannot make him the subject. Means I project on, or I imagine he is like this or that. It makes Krishna our object. He is subject. He exists beyond both the Atma and the Paramatma. So we should never forget that. So we should always keep this attitude that I cannot possess Krishna, or I cannot see him, I cannot feel, I cannot understand him. So he is not my object, I am the subject. No, he is the subject and he can see me. He is in the position. We have not the eyes now to see him. We should never forget that. We should always be mindful of the plane in which he exists. As finite souls, we are tatashta jivas, the marginal potency of the Lord. The tiny soul can think and know only those things which are more gross than himself. But in trying to know that which is more subtle than himself, he is helpless. A connection with that higher spiritual realm is only possible when the higher area wants to bring the lower up into that plane. Therefore, to understand him is possible only through surrender. Sivanukhe jiva do. So if we can accept the current of surrender, if we can die as we are and surrender our innermost self at his disposal, his will can easily carry us up to the spiritual platform. Our soul will become as a blade of grass in that current, and so be carried up into the center of the infinite. It is not that we can enter there and walk proudly as we do here in this gross material world. Here we walk on our feet, but there we shall walk with our heads, only by the Lord's grace. Upon our heads can we attract that plane to take us up. Everything there is qualitatively higher than our own existence. The super substance of that divine realm, the atmosphere, the air, the ether, everything there is higher than any value we might have. Only those with a sincere spirit of service may be allowed to enter there. And there they will be taken to the highest position of divine love by the residents of that plane, who are venerable, generous, affectionate, and filled with good wishes. We have as our prospect a chance to go there, but always as a matter of grace, and never as a matter of right. So we must accept this secret from the beginning. Still the atmosphere there is so happy and loving that no one there feels any distinction between slave and master. A slave there has no sense of being a slave. Everyone is family. Having attained the state of divine slavery, one should consider, I am a slave. The generosity of Krishna and his eternal associates is my wealth. But by the power of Yogamaya, those who are taken up into that plane forget that they are slaves. That is the greatness and magnanimity of that atmosphere where love is intensely flowing. It is really by their love and not by our own fortune that we may somehow gain entrance into that high and noble land. But to realize this, we must realize the spiritual position of Krishna's name, form, and eternal associates. Krishna's name is not material. We cannot capture the name of Krishna simply by vibrating the syllables of the name with our tongue. Ravana wanted to capture Sita Devi and thought that he had done so. But the fact was that he could not even touch the holy body of Sita Devi. That Ravan captured was only a mundane representation of Sita Devi, a material double, an imitation which was like a statue of Sita Devi. Sita Devi herself is another thing. She is not made of flesh and blood. For a person here in this world, Sita Devi and her divine plane is not at all approachable. A mundane person cannot see, feel, or enter that plane. What to speak of the possibility of snatching Sita Devi and taking her away? So the scriptures have explained that Sita's capture was all show. Ravana was cheated. Of course, the apparent kidnapping of Sita by Ravana was done to serve some purpose, to teach something to the people of this mundane world. But in the real sense, no Ravan can come in connection with any of the eternal associates of the Lord who are living in Vaikuntha. In the same way, no mundane person can touch the Vaikuntha name simply by imitating its sound. So recently I was asked about a young boy who had been killed in an accident. I was told that he shouted the name of Krishna at the time of death. I was asked, what was his destination? I explained that whether one is young or old, in the plane of flesh and blood is no qualification for spiritual attainment. So one's mentality must be examined according to the particular time and place and the conception of the person involved. That sound may be the genuine name, or it may be Namabhas, the shadow of the real name. The same way Gandhi, when Gandhi was shot, he cried, Ram, Ram. He was shot in the chest, and his spectacles were thrown into the street. Within half an hour he passed away. But he pronounced the words Ram, Rama. He was on his way to deliver a religious lecture, but his mentality was full of thoughts of national progress. So in his case, the vibration of the name may have worked in the plane of national building. To understand a person's destination at the time of death, we must ask, what was his mentality? Sometimes chanting a name may result in Namabhas, the shadow of the name. Whether or not it is Shuddhanam, the genuine name depends on the mental system of the person chanting the name. It depends on his relation towards Krishna, his intention. Is there anything? If anything is not clear, you may ask. A few days before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took sannyas, he was chanting, Gopi, Gopi, Gopi. Hearing this, a tantric brahmana came to give some advice to the Lord. Pandit, he said, you are a scholar, you know the scriptures, still you are chanting the name Gopi, Gopi. What benefit will you get from that? The scriptures say that if you chant the name of Krishna, you may get some benefit. You will find this in many places in the scriptures, especially in the Puranas. So why then you chant Gopi, Gopi? Angered at the Brahman's ignorance, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, in the mood of a follower of the gopis, picked up a stick and began to rebuke him. You have come for the enemy camp, from the enemy camp, to convert us into followers of Krishna. He ran after the Brahmana to beat him with his stick. In this example we find that Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was chanting Gopi, Gopi, and neglecting the name of Krishna. Apparently he was advised, take the name of Krishna and become enraged. But what was the underlying thought here? If we are to understand the effect of someone's chanting of the holy name, we must examine his underlying purpose. Sometimes his chanting may have some effect, but not always. Still, Jiva Goswami mentions the following example as evidence that the holy name may have some effect even if one is unaware of its full meaning. Once a wild boar attacked a Mohammedan. And the Mohammedan cried, Haram, Haram, Haram. That abominable dog. So this means in the language of this Mohammedan, Haram, Haram. It is abominable hog, something bad. On the other hand, Haram means the Lord, who has allowed a hog to attack me. Somehow Lord Ram was invoked, and the holy name had a divine influence on the Mohammedan, who attained liberation. Another example given in the scripture is that of Valmiki. Before becoming a saint, the sage Valmiki was a dacoit. But the great saint Narada had a plan to benefit him. So Narada thought, this person is the most notorious, heinous dacoit I have ever seen. Let me experiment with him to see the potency of the holy name. I shall ask him to chant the holy name of Rama. He tried, but Valmiki could not pronounce the holy name of Ram. Then Narada told him to chant Mara. The word for murder. Mara means he's a murderer, killer. So the word of murder. Instead the dacoit said, yes, I can do this. This is just the opposite of the name of Rama. He began to chant Rama, 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 Rama. In this way, after some time, Mara became Ram. So Valmiki began to chant the name of Ram, and gradually his mental attitude changed. So it is possible for the name to have an effect on someone, even if he has no proper conception of its meaning. This is called Namabhasa, the shadow of the name. It can affect liberation. But the real devotee is not interested in liberation. He wants to enter the domain of divine service. The sound and its effect depends upon the attitude we accept and the quality we can conceive, because Actual Vaikuntanam is infinite. In that plane, the divine name is equal to the substance named. When the sound aspect is not one and the same with the original aspect of the thing, that is Vaikuntanam. Here in this world, a blind man's name may be Padmalojan, means lotus-eyed, but really he may be blind. The name and the figure may be entirely different. But in Vaikunta, the infinite world, the name and the named are one and the same. Yet to experience the Vaikuntha Nam, one must avoid both Nam Aparad, offenses to the holy name, and Nam Abhas, the shadow of the holy name. By Nam Abhas we get some relief from this world bondage. And by Nam Abhas we become entangled in this Mayic world. But the ordinary physical sound cannot represent the real name, which is supernatural. So it is said that one name of Krishna can remove more ignorance and sin than a man has the power to commit. But what is the quality of that one name? We may chant the physical name of Krishna so many times without getting the result of even one real name. There's a great difference between the ordinary sound of the name, the superficial Mayic name, and the pure name. The pure name is one and the same with Krishna. But that descends down to our level only by His grace. We cannot operate it simply by dint of our moving our tongue and our lips. The pure name of Krishna is not lip deep, but heart deep. And it ultimately goes beyond the heart and reaches the land of Krishna. When Krishna comes down, the name Krishna comes to the heart and moves the lips and tongue. That vibration is the holy name of Krishna, Krishna Nam. Is this clear? Yes, one should at least know that our chanting is not on the transcendental plane. He's speaking like this: when Krishna in the form of sound descends from the transcendental world into the heart, and from the heart controlling every aspect of the nervous system, comes to the lips and begins dancing there. That is Krishna Nam. The initiative is in the transcendental world. That sound is not produced from the physical plane. The spiritual sound has to come down into this plane. He can come down, but we cannot so easily go up there. He is the super-subject. We are an object of Him. We cannot interfere with His independence. Only by the negative power of surrender can we attract the supreme positive to come down to our level. So, always be conscious. Krishna will only come to those who are by the negative power of surrender. Means we cannot attract the Supreme Positive to come down to our level, otherwise we cannot. And so the holy name is not a production of our senses. It can be realized only when we approach Him with a very intense serving attitude. At that time, Krishna Himself may come down by His grace, being attracted by our serving nature. Then He can influence this element and produce transcendental sound. Dance within the mundane plane, that is the holy name, the Vaikuntha Naam, the real name of Krishna. So we cannot produce it with our lips. This one thing we have to understand. It is not the same. Whoever may chant, somebody may came from outside and do kirtan or materialistic. And very sweet and very nice. But someone may chant the name in this attitude with what we heard, surrendered. And it may not sound so nice for our material eyes, ears. Then we should understand this. What is the difference? We will not understand Krishna Naam and the spiritual only by the external. It must come from deep from our heart. We cannot produce it with our lips. The sound we create with our physical or mental production is not Krishna. He is independent from whatever sound we may produce. And yet because He controls everything, He can appear anywhere, in any form, any plane, in any sound. This is confirmed in Bhagavad Gita. Krishna says, when I come here by the power of my internal potency, I remove the external potency's influence and appear anywhere and everywhere. The mundane wave is forced back, just as a plane rides in the sky and pushes back the influence of air and wind as it forcibly passes. So by removing the influence of the material waves, He appears within this world by the strength of His own force. The Lord says, I have my own potency, and by the power of that potency I remove this gross material energy. And so I live and move here in this world. The laws of material nature cannot apply to Him. He has special power. And with the help of that special power, He subdues the laws of material nature and comes here. He does whatever He wants with His own potency. Wherever He goes, the laws of material nature withdraw from that place and give Him His way. In this way He can appear within the realm of sound as the holy name. The real importance of the name is not to be found merely in arrangement its syllables, but in the deep meaning within that divine sound. Some scholars argue that in the Kali Sandarana Upanishad, Lord Brahma says that the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is properly pronounced only when the name of Ram proceeds. The name of Krishna, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare. And Krishna Nam. In the Kali Sandhana Upanishad, Hare Krishna Mahamantra is given in that way. But to say that the name of Ram must precede the name of Krishna in the mantra is a superficial understanding. They say that because it comes from the Upanishad. The Hare Krishna mantra is a Vedic mantra, and therefore because the ordinary people may not have any entrance into Vedic mantras. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu readjusted this mantra by reversing the order of the words in that way. It is said, the concern that it is a Vedic mantra is thereby cancelled. And so Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave it to all without breaching the injunction of the Vedas. Some devotees in Uttar Pradesh who have great affection for Sri Chaitanya Dev like to give this opinion. But our faith is that the mentioning of Hari Ram first is only superficial. It concerns the idea that since the Ram avatar appears first and then Krishna avatar afterwards, the name of Ram, Hari Ram, should not come first in the Mahamantra. A deeper reading will consider that two similar things are connected together. The priority will be ordered not on the basis of historical precedent, but in the consideration of the most highly developed conception. The holy name of Krishna is higher than the holy name of Ram. This is mentioned in the Puranas. 3 names of Ram equal 1 name of Krishna. The name of Krishna is superior to the name of Ram, where the two are connected together. The first position should be given to the one that is superior. Therefore the name of Krishna must come first in Mahamantra. This is one point. Another point is that within the eternal plane everything is moving in a cyclic order, in an eternal circle. Which is first and which is next cannot be ascertained. So in the eternal plane of Srila it cannot be determined whether Krishna is before Ram or Ram is before Krishna. So from that consideration also since the names of Krishna and Ram are eternal and unrelated to any historical event, we may begin the mantra from any place. Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare.
The mantra should not be maintained except in the form given by the Guru.
Huh?
I had understood this, that the mantra should be kept in the form which is given by the Guru upon initiation.
After 2 times changing the whole mantra, you can choose. It is a circle. What is first and what is second? It is the same also. It is a not clear understanding when you think that Ram, that is historical, like this Ram appeared. But if you think that it's a circle that always goes, and you do not know if not Krishna is the original, Ishvara Parama Krishna, that he appeared first in the transcendental plane. So Krishna and Ram are eternal and unrelated to any historical event. We will begin the mantra from any place. Now it goes further. Next time. Any question? Or how can I? It's not easy. It's very easy, but it's very difficult to understand. Doubtful mind means we are living in a world of speculation. That we have no faith. Either faith in Krishna or God, nor faith in the Vedas, nor faith in the pure sadhus. So they have to by step we will realize things if we are sincere. Accordingly, our sincerity, he will reveal himself to us. He is the subject and we are the object. So if he wants to reveal himself, and to whom he will reveal himself, not to one who is proud, or one who is doubting, or one who is engaged in all kind of material activities, and only thinking of I and my, and I proudly go there, I'm chanting Hare Krishna since 30, 40 years or whatever. I am much more advanced than all others. It is a mundane conception. It is we cannot think like this. This is a mundane understanding. In this way we cannot realize Krishna. We are the lowest, we are insignificant, and when our attitude and our sincerity is, we become sincere, and he may or he may not appear to his devotees and show him. I am like this. We can understand some drop, and when we get a tiny drop of this nectar, then we become very enlivened and we become very enthusiastic. There must be more. And then we should not forget, now I know everything. Then as soon as you think like this, everything is gone. Everything is forgotten. We are again under the influence of the illusory energy. Surrender, surrender, surrender. Guru Maharaj, very often, he said these 3 words. Always chant the name of Krishna. Always remember, Krishna Nam, Krishna is not difference. He is one. He manifests. When one's devotee chant Hare Krishna, and the name may go in the back, and the pastime may manifest more. Then he reveals himself. So in the beginning we heard we should hear the mantra, every syllable. This is beginning level also. But when we chant the name Krishna, and Krishna appears, and when the advanced devotees chant to Kirtan or chanting the name, they are diving deep into this, and they are not members of this material world. They are members of Krishna's family. They should become member of Krishna's family. We are only here for a few years. So we should give our life for His. And then let Him do what He wants. But yeah, this is another thing. What Jai Srila Dev Goswami Maharaj ki Jai, Shri Harinam Mahamantra ki Jai, Srila Gurudev ki Jai, Nitai Go Premanande Mantra Kali.